This is CBS.
President Reagan threatens to veto the stopgap spending bill, shutting down all non-essential government services. And some Rhode Islanders have been successful in trimming their energy costs. Those stories, sports, and the Weathermation forecast. Channel 6 News Update is next.
Look what 1-calorie Diet Pepsi
and Pepsi Light
are doing for your legs.
Giving away free these easy-to-be-me pantyhose with proofs of purchase.
So not only do you get the great taste of Diet Pepsi
and Pepsi Light,
you also get the great look of these free easy-to-be-me pantyhose. That's what 1-calorie Diet Pepsi
and Pepsi Light
are doing for your legs. Free easy-to-be-me pantyhose from No Nonsense.
Look for this Diet Pepsi and Pepsi Light display at participating stores.
Entertainment tonight, weekdays at 5:30 on 6. This is the Channel 6 Weekend News.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Donna LaBeouf. Here's tonight's news. The federal government is still technically broke tonight. President Reagan is expected to veto a $428 billion emergency funding bill, and unless Congress overrides that veto, federal agencies will begin shutting down tomorrow. Reagan has called an emergency meeting of his cabinet tomorrow morning to discuss plans for closing down non-essential agencies. It's estimated that 400,000 federal employees will be laid off by Tuesday unless Congress and the president reach an agreement. House and Senate conferees spent the weekend negotiating the funding bill, and both houses passed the measure today. Rhode Island's delegation was divided. Senator Chafee and Representative St. Germain voted for the bill, while Senator Pell and Representative Schneider voted against it. The Japanese journalist who gave presidential advisor Richard Allen an envelope of thank you money says she didn't write any dollar amount on the outside of the package. Yet the envelope that contained $1,000 when found by Justice Department investigators apparently had $10,000 written on the outside. And a Justice Department source said a receipt for $10,000 was found in the same safe. Last week, Allen admitted receiving $1,000 from the foreign newswoman. The conflicting facts are still being investigated. A summit meeting between President Reagan and Soviet President Brezhnev may be in the works. Appearing on the CBS program Face the Nation, White House Counselor Edwin Meese said a decision on such a meeting will come after upcoming arms negotiations between the U.S. and the Soviet Union.
If it looks productive, if it looks like we have a reasonable chance of reaching constructive results from such a summit meeting, then I'm sure the President will be interested in arranging one.
Those talks concerning nuclear missile deployment in Europe are due to begin in Geneva, Switzerland 1 week from tomorrow. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Haig will meet with Soviet Foreign Minister Gromyko in January, and Meese said those talks will also help administration officials decide on a possible summit. Soviet President Brezhnev arrived in the West German capital of Bonn today. Soviet news agency TASS reports a friendly atmosphere at Brezhnev's initial visit with Chancellor Schmidt. About 2,000 communist sympathizers chanting peace slogans greeted the Russian leader in a torchlight rally at Bonn-Cologne airport, but about 50,000 protesters marched through the streets denouncing Soviet nuclear missiles aimed at Europe. Because of federal budget cutbacks, the Rhode Island Department of Health hasn't been able to provide free flu shots this season, so some local areas have begun to set up free vaccination clinics to help prevent an influenza epidemic. Woonsocket had its first clinic today for residents 60 years and older. Other clinics will be held next week. Statistics show that from 1968 to 1981, more than 150,000 excess deaths occurred during flu epidemics. Observations indicate that older people are more susceptible to the flu. Therefore, prevention and control are aimed mostly at senior citizens. Americans have been conserving energy, and that's helped to keep the cost of oil down. But still, some people are seeking alternative ways to heat their homes. Frank Graham has a report on one family's efforts to keep their heating bills to a minimum.
According to the New England Congressional Institute's Winter Price and Supply Outlooks report, there will be plenty of heating oil and gas supplies during the next several months. But with OPEC prices up to $34 a barrel, the price would have gone up 4 to 5 cents per gallon. Instead, a rise of between 2 and 4 cents will actually be the case. That, says the state's fuel allocation officer, Santo Amato, is because we have been conserving energy.
The point that we've got to be concerned with is to hold that conservation down so that we can keep the consumption where it is, because once we start to consume again, the price is going to go up again.
Most residential customers can expect to pay 12 to 18% more for gas this winter, and so conversion from oil to gas heat has begun to level off as the price gap narrows. And some consumers are beginning to convert to coal and wood-burning furnaces. Paul Bianco of Scituate converted last year. He bought his wood and coal-burning stove at a cost of $1,800 to back up his oil burner. The Biancos have 10 large rooms, and the cost of fuel can be astronomical. They used to burn 2,500 gallons of oil a year, but now that has dropped to only 900 gallons during the past 12 months. Paul says his wife Shirley keeps track of the savings.
She keeps the figures every year.
How much do you actually save?
I figure we save at least $1,500 a year, and I'm hoping to bring it down next year another $500.
Biancos have plenty of coal, but the bad news is coal prices are going up as much as 15%. So the family is more than ever dependent on the wood they cut. Wood prices are relatively stable, and the effort to obtain it is minimal when you have 2 teenage sons and a chainsaw. Frank Graham, Channel 6 News, Scituate.
Coming up on the update, the City of Providence is trying to do its share to increase the number of minority police officers, and thousands of dancers gathered today at Brown University to dance for charity. Stay with us.
Going down that wide open highway.
First house I ever seen with a flat tire.
Some guys make the most of life, even in their beer. Miller's Special Reserve. It's carefully brewed and aged to taste rich and full-bodied with less bitterness. Taste the best in life. Miller's Special Reserve.
Take Mom out of the kitchen this Thanksgiving and take her to the Coachman Restaurant in Tiverton, Rhode Island. Make your reservations now. You'll enjoy the large variety of meals being offered. Choose from these complete dinners: roast Vermont turkey, baked Virginia ham, roast loin of pork, baked stuffed shrimp, roast prime ribs of beef, baked stuffed lobster fisherman style. Get the whole family together and really enjoy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the comforts of home with no work at all. For a memorable Thanksgiving Day, try the Coachman in Tiverton, where friends meet and families enjoy themselves. By the way, there are a few choice Christmas party dates available.
In-bank tax-exempt savings accounts pay up to $2,000 in tax-free interest. I'd get one, but I'd be taking money out of my own pocket.
A 27-year-old Providence man is in critical condition tonight after allegedly being shot in the head by his brother. Paul Murphy was wounded when his brother Gerald opened fire on police as they tried to coax him out of his bedroom. The older son had locked himself in the room with a rifle after having a fight with his father. Gerald Murphy was then taken to the IMH. He will be charged with assault with intent to kill. Rhode Island Attorney General Dennis Roberts is warning people to be on the lookout for $1 checks being distributed by the Arco Petroleum Corporation. Roberts says the checks don't violate any deceptive trade laws, but he warns that they are misleading and confusing. If you receive one of these checks and cash it, you are automatically enrolled in a hotline credit card bureau, which will continue at a cost of $12 a year unless you cancel the service. All of this information is printed only on the back of the checks. Well, there aren't enough minorities in the Providence police force, and that's according to Mayor Vincent Cianci. So the city is setting up a minority police school designed to increase the number of non-whites on the force to 15%. The Urban League has already recruited candidates for the program, and they'll begin their training next year. Cianci says graduates of the school will be hired on a 2-to-1 basis.
2 from the minority school and 1 from people who are waiting on the list already who have been through school. This will, I believe, number one, it's very innovative and very creative, and it's part of a total police package that we are instituting to revamp the entire police department.
Currently, minorities make up less than 5% of Providence's 411-member police force. Unlike the marathon dancing contests of the 1930s, today thousands of Americans danced for physical fitness and charity. Newsman Frank Graham reports on Rhode Islanders who took part in a nationwide dance-a-thon.
No, this is not the traditional line dancing. This is aerobic dancing, and it's physical fitness set to music, and it's fun. It was made popular by Jackie Sorensen of California 10 years ago. But in addition to celebrating a decade of aerobic dancing, this dance-a-thon is a benefit on behalf of the handicapped children who participate in Special Olympics. Each student And there are 350 of them on the floor of Brown University's Marvel Gymnasium as a sponsor who puts up money for the number of dances actually performed. There are 120 similar dance-a-thons taking place across the nation, and the goal for Special Olympics is $5 million. But one is tempted to ask, where are the men who would enjoy this kind of physical fitness?
Well, presently there aren't any men classes for aerobic dancing in Rhode Island, but in the winter we're planning on starting a men's program, mainly for men. And I'm sure once we do, and the men have seen this, they're going to want to find this their fun way to fitness also.
It's more than just physical fitness, it's for a worthy cause.
Oh, it sure is. Special Olympics is a terrific cause.
The famed Rockettes never looked so good or danced for a worthier cause. By mid-afternoon, the dancers had raised over $20,000 for Special Olympics. Frank Graham, Channel 6 News, Providence.
By the way, the final figure was $29,000 for them today. And still to come on the update, there was strict security today for Pope John Paul as he made his first pilgrimage since he was shot in May. And 200 business leaders got together this weekend to discuss the Blackstone Valley area's sagging economy. That's next. Stay tuned.
Now, saving certificates direct from Chrysler make it easier to own a Mitsubishi-built import. Save $500 on a new 81 Colt or Champ. On a new 82, save $300. Save $500 on a new 81 Challenger or Sapporo. On a new 82, save $300. Save $500 on any new 81 or 82 Ram 50 or Arrow pickup. Now you can own a quality-built, high-mileage Mitsubishi import and save up to $500 at participating Dodge and Plymouth dealers.
Before there was an Italy, before there was a Rome, there were the vineyards near Castodaccia. There in 1824, the Duke of Salabruta first bottled Corvo. Corvo, the distinguished wine of Europe, now in America. Corvo, of course. Corvo, crisp and elegant. Since 1824, the choice of people who know fine wine. Corvo, one of the great wines of Italy, imported by Paterno Imports.
200 civic and government leaders joined forces this weekend to try and solve economic woes in Blackstone Valley. Officials from Rhode Island and Massachusetts tried to pinpoint why the Blackstone Valley economy is plummeting. A lot of their discussion centered around the poor construction of Route 146. That highway, which connects Providence and Worcester, Mass., is considered a major hindrance to Blackstone's economic growth. The city of Woonsocket may soon be playing friendly neighbor to nearby Cumberland. The water supply in Cumberland isn't enough to serve the town's needs, so Woonsocket officials say they may sell some of theirs to Cumberland at a rate of $500 per million gallons. If the deal is approved, Cumberland officials may buy up to 2 million gallons a day. Pope John Paul made his first trip outside Rome today since he was shot on May 13th. Reports say Italy put forth its largest security operation ever for a papal visit. The pontiff visited an ancient shrine in the hilltop village of Todi. The trip took the Pope 76 miles from Rome, where a crowd of 10,000 people awaited him. 1,000 police were bussed in to protect the pontiff, while other plainclothesmen circulated in the crowd to watch for any suspicious activity. In his speech to the crowd, John Paul called for renewed help for the thousands of earthquake victims in southern Italy. 18 years ago today, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. And today, a steady stream of people visited the Kennedy Memorial in Dallas. The crowds were not large, however, and no special events were planned. On the memorial, there were a half-dozen red roses and a card in memory of the late president. The future of the United States Coast Guard has been the topic of several House Marine and Fisheries Committee hearings. Washington correspondent Julie Modisbatcher says even the Coast Guard is having a tough time making ends meet.
The Department of Transportation is trying harder than ever to implement user fees to help the Coast Guard get over its money problems. Under the legislation, people who own private yachts and boats will help pay for the Coast Guard search and rescue service. Plans are underway to set up a system requiring boaters to buy a special sticker each year. The idea first came up back in March. Now the Transportation Department is pushing the bill at Coast Guard hearings of the House Marine and Fisheries Committee.
When services are free, the tendency is to keep adding new ones every time the need arises. When the cost of those services must be paid for by the users of the services, the tendency is to weigh more carefully whether the service is really necessary.
The Department of Transportation says it has spared the Coast Guard the hard-hitting budget cuts other agencies are suffering, but the Coast Guard is still having money problems. User fees may be an answer, but if that doesn't work, the Department of Transportation says it may have no choice but to cut back on services. Julie Modispatcher, Channel 6 News, Washington.
Still to come on the update, meteorologist Brad Field says if cold temperatures way down in the 20s aren't enough, the first snow of the year is due Tuesday. He'll have the complete forecast next.
You've probably used Journal Bulletin Classified before to buy a car or a new home or maybe even to find a job. But have you ever used Classified to sell anything? It's as easy as picking up the phone. Just dial 277-7700 to place your ad. It'll be seen by almost 500,000 people every day, and that's 500,000 chances to sell. So whether you want to buy or sell, turn to Journal Bulletin Classified for help.
I need it bad.
Mom, I need it bad. You need the sunshine and palm trees of Florida. Florida, when you need it bad, we've got it good. When you need it bad, come to Florida.
I need it bad.
Meet Lipton tea lover Don Meredith.
Hey, this isn't Lipton.
How'd you know, Don?
You didn't use Lipton's flow-through bag.
I knew you guys couldn't fool them.
Don, what makes Lipton so different? The special teas in here.
Show me.
Okay, let's see. They say there's around 20 quality teas in here. Gotta be this rich blend makes it taste so good.
You really do know your Lipton.
Can't fool the Lipton tea lover.
We tried.
For a change of taste, try Lipton flavored tea bags and spice up your life.
Since November 4th, 2,800 households in Rhode Island have looked into special grants for home heating assistance. Winter hasn't officially started yet. It won't for another month, but unusually low temperatures have already qualified some 450 needy Rhode Island families for heating assistance of up to $120, which will tide them over until regular assistance programs begin around December 1st. The weather certainly has been cold. In fact, today I was talking to someone who was in Worcester, and as we spoke, he said it began to snow out there. Brad's standing by with his forecast for the week ahead to let us know if we'll be getting any snow of our own.
Well, Don, I think so. There were flurries, as you say, yesterday and today across the hilly section of northern and western New England. In fact, there was enough snow in some places for skiing to start up. Many ski areas will be opening up this week, and because of the Thanksgiving holiday coming up, lots of people traveling. This week's weather forecast is very important. My forecast for the week ahead is for a fair, cool Thanksgiving Day, and the season's first snow, a good possibility, coming in during Tuesday. The best day will be Monday. Enjoy it with lots of sunshine and temperatures up into the 40s. The worst day, Tuesday, with increasing clouds and snow developing. And at this point, Wednesday, no real bargain either. Looks like there could be some snow and rain across portions of southern and central New England. Let's review today's weather. High temperature of 44 degrees this afternoon, low of 30. No precipitation. In Providence at 11 o'clock, there are scattered clouds, a temperature reading of 30, humidity at 66%. The winds are blowing from the west at 7 miles per hour. The barometric pressure tonight is at 29.87 inches, and that barometer is on the way up. The satellite photograph from this afternoon shows the high-pressure system that gave us the beautiful weather today. We see here in New England and the whole eastern seaboard clear skies. The storm system that went by during Saturday, and as Don indicated, the flurries across Worcester County and points north and west. Here's the remaining clouds of that system. They're pulling away. Look out here. There's clouds coming across the plains. There's a weak storm system in this position, but lots of available energy in upper levels of the atmosphere. So as this swings to the south and east, it looks like a good storm will get going on the Virginia Capes. It's cold over New England. The cold air will be here. The storm coming up. I think the first snow of the year, a good bet for Tuesday afternoon. Let's check around New England tonight. Partly cloudy across northern sections, fair across the south. West winds are averaging 10 to 20. A peek at the temperature shows 30, a popular figure across the north, Burlington, Lebanon, Concord, Portland. A few light flurries in the Burlington area, more in Albany. Temperatures across the south, upper 20s to low and mid-30s. A look across the nation, high pressure located in the Kentucky-Tennessee border region. There's the culprit for Tuesday and Wednesday's weather. The storm will be coming across the northern plains. It's weak now, but it will gain some strength when it hits the coastline and then start swinging north and east. And I think snow changing to rain developing Tuesday afternoon. There were some flurries today across the lakes region, more light snow and about ½ an inch of rain in the Pacific Northwest. Here's a look at some temperatures. 83 this afternoon down in the area of Brownsville, but it was really cold. Imagine waking up to a 35-degree reading in Disney World this afternoon. Now that's how the weather map looks today. We're going to take a check of what the weather will look tomorrow, and the storm system is going to plummet to the south and east, and we'll see a lot of snow beginning to break out across the Great Lakes region. There's your rain coming across the mid-Atlantic. Temperatures 30s across the north. That certainly supports snow. 40s and 50s through the mid-Atlantic states. 60s down south. Snow in the forecast. So let's get to that right now. Details go like this. Fair, breezy, cold the remainder of tonight. Temperatures in the low 20s inland, upper 20s right along the coast. The forecast for tomorrow is for mostly sunny weather, and it will be cool. Temperature 40 to 45 degrees. Clear cold tomorrow night, getting ready for that storm system. Temperatures down in the 20s. Tuesday, we're looking for lowering and thickening clouds with snow arriving. Snow likely changing to rain across south coastal New England as warming comes in off the ocean. Temperature 37 to 42. Clearing and cold late Wednesday, a sneak preview of Thanksgiving. Fair cold weather. Coastal winds for tomorrow, west 10 to 20. Visibility excellent. Wave heights 1 to 3 feet bays and 3 to 6 on the ocean. So we've got an exciting weather week coming up. I'm looking for a very stormy period Tuesday and Wednesday, and then getting better, Donna, just in time for Thanksgiving.
Well, it sounds like it should be some fun. Thank you, Brad. Coming up, a day of upsets in the NFL, and victory slips away from the Patriots in the final seconds of today's game. Joe Becker will be here next with all the highlights.
Valueland Food Warehouse, grade A self-basting turkeys are 43 cents a pound. Yes, 43 cents a pound. Make Valueland your savings land.
We needed a heater. But we wanted energy efficiency to warm us without heating the whole room. It was obvious.
We needed a quartz heater.
And we wanted selection, good looks, obviously a brand name we know and trust. Quality engineering, too. It was obvious.
We needed a Presto quartz heater. Obviously.
Quartz, the last word in heating efficiency. Presto, the first name in quality quartz heaters.
Presto quartz heaters are available at Apex.
The first Valleys opened in Portland, Maine in 1933. Times were tough, but our steaks were tender. People came from miles around to enjoy a Valley steak and feast on our lobster. We served the best we could buy at prices folks could afford. Now there are Valley's restaurants from Maine to Florida with lots of other good things on our menu. But steak is still something special at Valley's, and you can still afford it.
Our 3/4 pound steak dinner just $7.95 and 1 pound sirloin steak dinner only $8.95.
Well, the Patriots lost a rather painful game to Buffalo tonight, huh? At the 11th hour. That's kind of a rough way to go, isn't it?
John, I just can't believe it. You know, I feel sorry for Ron Earhart and the Patriots because they've really had a tough season, a tough day. You know, they say the game isn't over until the gun sounds, and boy, that was the truth today in Buffalo. The Bills rose from the grave. They pulled off a miracle against the Patriots, 20-17 at Rich Stadium. What a great game. Buffalo led 3-0 in the first quarter. The Patriots pull off another big option play. And that's Andy Johnson going to Stanley Morgan, 56 yards for the touchdown. The Patriots led 7-3. Johnson's now 7 for 7 passing. 4 touchdown passes this year. Buffalo cut the lead in the second quarter. Nick Mickemeyer hit a field goal. It was 7-6. Then Buffalo takes the lead. 3rd down, 8 yards. Joe Ferguson finds Roland Hooks, 8-yard touchdown, and it was 13-7 Bills at halftime. With the score 13-10 Buffalo, fourth quarter, Matt Cavanaugh is going to look for Stanley Morgan. He airs it out, 65 yards. The defender falls down. Morgan takes it in. He goes down at the Buffalo 4. That set up a touchdown. Cavanaugh drops back. He looks for tight end Don Hasselbuck to the left. 4-yard touchdown. The Pats led by 4, 17-13, and time running out. Then the miracle. No timeouts left. 12 seconds left on the clock. Ferguson throws up a prayer. Patriots have it covered well. Bat it right into the hands of Roland Hooks. 56 yards for the touchdown. Just 5 seconds left, giving the Bills a 20-17 win. Got to show it to you one more time. Ferguson in slow motion throws it up. Half a dozen Patriot players there. It's knocked right into Hook's hands. The crowd went wild, and as one fan said it, that is incredible. Okay, we switch to Dallas and Washington in Dallas. Mark Mosley, big hero last week, lines up. He kicks a 26-yard field goal. That made it 10-10 in the third quarter. Later in the third quarter, Danny White's going to get the Cowboys on the scoreboard, drops back, looks for Doug Cosby, finds him, 10-yard touchdown, Dallas in front, 17-10. They never trailed after that. Little razzle-dazzle coming up, fourth quarter. Danny White to Tony Dorsett, to Drew Pearson, comes around the right side on an end around. He goes 21 yards of Dallas and set up the final touchdown, finally brought down by the Skins on the 1-yard line. Ron Springs caps it off. He goes 1 yard. Dallas wins it 24-10. All right, in Philadelphia, Ron Jaworski and the Eagles taking on the Giants. Jaworski throws to Keith Krepley, 6 yards, touchdown. Eagles out in front. Giants come back, though. Leon Bright dives over from the 2-yard line. He gets in there. Giants are leading 13-10. Fourth quarter, Jaworski's trying to bring the Eagles back. Looks for his receiver, but instead finds Terry Jackson. Jackson's going to run the distance, 32 yards to the goal line, and it was 20-10. The Giants beat the Eagles. Well, it was a wild afternoon on the gridiron today. A lot of one-point games and ecstatic fans in New York City. So let's check the other NFL scores as we look at the scoreboard. Ken Anderson threw for 396 yards, 3 touchdowns. Cincinnati rolls over Denver 38-21. They now lead the AFC Central 9-3 record. Denver's 8-4. Detroit had it easy with Chicago winning 23-7 in the Windy City. Detroit 6-6. The Bears 3-8. Tampa Bay 6-6. They crushed Green Bay 37-3 in Tampa Bay. New Orleans and Bum Phillips, they won their 4th game today, and against Bum's old teammates, the Oilers in Houston, the final 27-24. Giants now 6-6 after their win over the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are now tied with Dallas. They both have 9-3 records. Terry Bradshaw, big day, 2 touchdowns. Steelers ruin the Browns 32-10. The Steelers are now 7-5. Cardinals won their first game on the road today, beating who else but the Baltimore Colts, who have now lost 11 in a row. The final 35-24. Kansas City tied with Denver, first place in the AFC West. They are 8-4, 40-13 thrashing over Seattle. Richard Todd played today, broken rib. He hit Jerome Barkham with a touchdown pass, 21 seconds left. Gives the Jets 16-15 win over Miami and a share of the NFC East lead, or I should say AFC East lead, 7-4-1. Dan Fouts, 6 touchdown passes today. The Chargers rolled up their biggest score in San Diego history, 55-21 over Oakland. San Francisco's 9-3. They beat the Rams again today. It was 33-31, a 37-yard field goal by Ray Wershing with no time left. And as I said, the Cowboys now 9-3 after beating Washington 24-10. And tomorrow night, Minnesota will play in Atlanta in Monday Night Football. Big Canadian football game up in Canada tonight. This afternoon, the Edmonton Oilers won their 4th straight Grey Cup, a 26-23 win over the Ottawa Rough Riders. The Grey Cup is the Canadian Football League's Super Bowl. Big afternoon for them. Last time the Bruins played the Quebec Nordiques, they crushed them 10-1. A little different tonight. The Nordiques got revenge in Boston at the Garden. Let's take a look at some of the highlights. Quebec never trailed against the Bruins. 14 minutes into the game, they got on the board. Elaine Cote beat Marco Barron, and it was 1-0. Miroslav Freiser got an assist on that goal, and you're going to see a little bit more of Freiser. A few minutes later, he gets a goal of his own, makes it 2-0. He was right in front, and it was all downhill after that. 1 minute, 38 seconds into the second period. Freiser again, a booming slap shot. He got the hat trick tonight. That made it 3-0. It was all but over for the Bruins. Quebec made it 4-0 in the middle of the second period. Stastny with a goal. Final was 6-1 Quebec, and the Bruins had a rough night. Quebec unbeaten now in 5 games. Well, the Brown Bruin hockey team won their season opener tonight. They beat Army 10-5. They played that one at West Point, so that's good news. And Darrell Waltrip clinched the NASCAR National Driving Championship today, a 6th place finish in the Western 500 that was raced at Riverside, California. Bobby Allison won the race. And Donna, I just don't know what to say about the Patriots.
That was sad. That was really sad.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
Incredible.
What can we say? Thank you, Joe. I'll call you Brad. Coming up next, we'll take you to a Christmas parade held today in Providence that's almost sure to get you in the Christmas spirit. We'll be right back.
Drive a Volkswagen diesel pickup, and you can get the only diesel pickup made in America with front-wheel drive, sports car suspension, and a hefty double-wall bed. You can drive the Volkswagen diesel pickup all day, all night, and into the next day, non-stop. It's the best mileage pickup in America. So you can haul more than half a ton of whatever for what seems like forever. Before you run out of fuel, you may run out of road.
Test drive a 1982 Rabbit at your Rhode Island and Southeast Massachusetts Volkswagen dealer.
How come you go, after you crunch your cheese balls?
The Planters.
See, no, after the crunch, the thrill is gone.
Planters taste better. Rich cheese spreads around your mouth and melts.
Planters taste better, cheesier.
Planters snacks. We've got the right after the crunch.
There are other white wines, but there's only one Folinari Suave. The New York Times calls Folinari Suave
very dry, crisp, one of the best buys.
Robert Lawrence Balzer's expert taste panel said,
brilliant, clean, dry, our number one.
Cuisine Magazine says,
Folinari Suave is first rate.
There are other white wines, but there's only one Folinari Suave.
Dad, there's woodpeckers in the car.
Joey, those aren't woodpeckers. They're knocks knocking around your engine.
Can we knock them out?
Sure, with super lead-free Sky Chief. Texaco's highest octane unleaded gasoline. Higher octane helps knock out the knocks. Joey, you hear any woodpeckers lately?
Nope, Mr. Hope.
Thanks to Texaco's super lead-free Sky Chief.
Helps knock out the knocks. Joey, give me one right here.
Okay, chap.
Well, Thanksgiving may be in the air, but today's chilly weather was a sure sign that Christmas isn't too far behind. Many Rhode Islanders decided to celebrate a little early. The occasion was a traditional Christmas parade on the streets of downtown Providence. Hundreds of people arrived at Kennedy Plaza, where they were greeted by the Providence All-City Marching Band, which led the procession. That wasn't all. Jugglers came in all shapes and sizes, followed by musicians donned in colorful garb, playing Christmas tunes and relishing the Christmas spirit that filled the air. And then, of course, there was Santa, shaking hands with the kids and making the occasion official in everyone's eyes. That's the news for tonight. I'm Donna LaBeouf. Thank you for joining us. John Sweeney and Chris Canangela will be here tomorrow night at 6 for more of Channel 6 News. Good night.